Just an hour before my sister-in-law's wedding, I went into labor. Instead of helping me, my mother-in-law took my phone and locked me in the bathroom, telling me to hold off for a while so I wouldn't steal my sister-in-law's spotlight and ruin her big day. A few hours later, I woke up in the hospital, and there she was, begging me not to press charges. But oh boy, the look on her face when my husband made his announcement. She went pale. My husband, Rick, 30M, and I, 29F, welcomed our baby girl, May, 2 weeks ago. She's our first child, and while we're thrilled, life has been insanely hectic as we adjust to parenthood. It's been overwhelming for both of us, and we don't have much help because of what happened on the day May was born. It was the most traumatic experience of my life, and even the joy of May's arrival hasn't erased the paralyzing fear I felt that day. If not for my husband's timely intervention, I truly believe I might not have survived. But despite how horrifying it was, part of me feels that since it involved family, maybe I should be more forgiving. After all, May is the first grandchild. But my emotions are all over the place, my judgment clouded by postpartum hormones and the exhaustion of taking care of a newborn. That's why I've come to Reddit. I need help figuring out whether I'm being too soft. Now, let me introduce the key players in this disaster. Rick has 2 younger sisters, Anna, 28, and Emma, 24. I have a great relationship with both of them. There's no hostility, no underlying drama. We aren't super close since we're all busy with our careers and don't see each other often, but we make an effort to stay in touch through texts and occasional calls. Emma doesn't even live in the same city as us, so we rarely meet in person. But the real problem in Rick's family? My mother-in-law, Rachel, 53. While my relationship with Anna and Emma is fine, Rachel is a whole different story. She and I do not see eye to eye. In fact, I genuinely believe she has an issue with everyone, not just me. She is, without a doubt, the biggest control freak I have ever met. She expects everything to go her way, and if it doesn't, she reacts badly. And by badly, I mean anything from passive-aggressive disapproval and sulking to full-blown tantrums with tears and meltdowns. Her kids, all 3 of them, tolerate her behavior because she raised them alone after their father abandoned them. Out of some mix of obligation and survival instinct, they try to accommodate her as much as possible just to keep the peace. As for me, I keep my distance. Rick understands how difficult she is, and while he still has a sense of duty toward her, he never forces me to engage with her more than I'm comfortable with. We've made it work. I stay out of her way, she, mostly, stays out of mine, and we coexist. But all of that changed a few days ago. Because of her, things spiraled completely out of control. And now, I don't think anyone in this family will ever be able to forgive her. The day May was born. The day our daughter, May, was born also happened to be the day of Anna's wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, and her husband, Jonah, 30M, is actually one of Rick's closest friends. He proposed about a year ago, and soon after, Anna asked me to be one of her bridesmaids. I happily accepted. However, when Rick and I found out I was pregnant, I had to ask her to choose someone else. I knew I wouldn't be able to handle the role, and it didn't feel right to commit to something I might not be able to follow through on. At the time, it had been 6 months since Jonah's proposal, meaning the wedding was now only 6 months away, and I was already 3 months pregnant. I expected Anna to be at least a little disappointed, maybe even upset, since this was her big day and I was backing out. Honestly, I was terrified that my decision would strain our relationship forever. But to my shock, that didn't happen. Instead, Anna was thrilled when I told her I was pregnant. She was so happy that she temporarily forgot about her wedding. Her exact words? Obviously, I'll be taking care of you. She was so supportive that she even considered postponing the wedding, just so I wouldn't miss it if May happened to be born around that time. That, of course, didn't happen for a variety of reasons, and honestly, I wouldn't have let her do it anyway. But the fact that she even considered it showed how much she truly cared. With me stepping down, Emma took over as maid of honor, and both sisters were busy with wedding preparations. I didn't want to disturb them too much, especially since my pregnancy was brutal. But despite their packed schedules, both Anna and Emma stayed in touch as much as possible. They visited, checked in on me, and made sure I had their support. Honestly, looking back, I feel guilty for not being there for Anna on one of the most important days of her life, especially considering how much support she gave me during my pregnancy. The only person who seemed bothered by the whole situation was my mother-in-law, Rachel. I think she was annoyed that I was no longer the maid of honor, which must have caused some minor disruptions in the wedding planning. That was the only explanation I could come up with, and in a way, I understood why she might be frustrated. But what I didn't understand was how her resentment didn't stop, even after Anna had fully accepted my decision and moved on. The bride herself had no issue with my pregnancy or me stepping down, but somehow, Rachel still seemed to hold it against me. It was bizarre. At first, I thought I was just overthinking it. Maybe she was on edge because of the wedding, and I was extra sensitive because of my hormones. I tried to brush it off and ignore her as much as possible. And for the most part, things remained manageable. Until the wedding day. The wedding day. 2 weeks ago, I was massively pregnant. My feet were swollen, my belly felt like it weighed a ton, and I was beyond exhausted. But I still wanted to attend Anna's wedding, because she wanted me there. I even checked with her beforehand to make sure my presence wouldn't be an issue. I told her that I didn't want to take any attention away from her big day, especially since a heavily pregnant woman might naturally draw some eyes. Her reaction? She was genuinely offended. I can't believe you're even thinking about this nonsense. Of course, you're coming to my wedding. She said she didn't care about attention or the spotlight. She just wanted her family to be there to support her. And knowing Anna, she meant it. She isn't someone who sugarcoats things. If she hadn't wanted me there, she would have said so outright. Since she had made it clear how important it was to her, I knew I had to be there, no matter how physically uncomfortable I was. This was her wedding day, and I wanted to show up for her, just like she had shown up for me. A moment I'll never forget. The first time I held my daughter, I knew nothing in this world could ever top that feeling. No emotion, no experience, nothing. It was overwhelming, indescribable, and pure. At that moment, I didn't care about anything else. Not Rachel, not the trauma, not the fear, just my baby girl, safe in my arms. Rick didn't give me many details right away, and I'm grateful for that. I didn't have the energy to process anything beyond the tiny, perfect life I had just brought into the world. But I could hear commotion outside my hospital room. I asked Rick what was going on. His expression darkened. "It's my mother," he said. "She wants to come in and see her granddaughter." I felt a surge of anger rise in my chest. I told him everything. How she locked me in that bathroom. How she took my phone. How she endangered our daughter for no reason other than her twisted sense of control. And most importantly, I told him she was dead to me. I would never allow her near my child. Rick just nodded. I know everything. Apparently, when he found me unconscious in that bathroom, Rachel had broken down and confessed. I scoffed. So what? She cries, and I'm supposed to forgive her? He laughed coldly. No, she's dead to me too, and I'm pressing charges. I stared at him, barely believing what I was hearing. I'm taking the legal route. I'm making sure she pays for what she did. The second those words left his mouth, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Because the truth is, I had been afraid. Despite everything, I knew Rick and his sisters loved their mother. She had raised them alone, worked hard to give them a life, and for all her flaws, she was still their mother. A part of me had expected Rick to hesitate, to choose her over me. And if he had, that would have been the end of our marriage. There would be no coming back from that. But he didn't hesitate. He chose me. He chose our daughter. And in that moment, I think I loved him even more than I already did, if that was even possible. The best wedding gift. After a while, I asked how the wedding went. Rick smiled. It was fine. Emma and Anna are waiting for me to call them so they can come visit. I hesitated. Is Anna mad? Rick chuckled. Mad? You don't have to worry about Anna. She's over the moon. She keeps saying her whole family was at the wedding, and that May's birth was the best gift she could have received. Tears welled up in my eyes. Call them. Now. Within minutes, Anna, Emma, and Jonah walked into my hospital room. And the best part? Anna and Jonah were still in their wedding attire. Anna beamed. No way was I missing the chance to take a wedding picture with my niece. That was it. I broke down. I started sobbing, completely overwhelmed. It was such a beautiful, heartwarming moment. After we took the picture, I looked at Anna and whispered, I'm so sorry for ruining your day. She hugged me tightly. Ruining my day? You made my day. I told her everything. About Rachel's behavior from the moment we announced the pregnancy. Anna's jaw tightened. The only thing you did wrong was not telling us sooner. We could have stopped her. I sighed. I didn't want to cause trouble. Emma chimed in immediately. Any amount of trouble is worth it if it means you're safe. And that was the moment I knew. I wasn't just Rick's wife to them. I was family. Anna is one of the best women I know. So secure, so full of love, so genuine. I don't understand how Rachel ended up so different from her own children. It's like they looked at her and thought, that's not who I want to be. It's weird, but honestly, I don't care. Because in the end, it was beautiful. Drawing the line. My mother-in-law was still waiting outside, apparently hoping for a chance to come in and meet May. But that wasn't happening. Anna had already told her on the way in that she would personally make sure Rick and I pressed charges. Rachel still insisted on seeing May, but I refused. I didn't want her anywhere near me. Anna stood firmly by my side. We need to protect ourselves from her, she said. Then, unexpectedly, Anna apologized. She felt guilty, thinking that maybe, if she had been more vocal about her support for my pregnancy, her mother wouldn't have acted so drastically. She wondered if she could have prevented the entire situation. But I shut that down immediately. Anna, you made me feel safe. This is not your fault. Meanwhile, Rick was outside confronting his mother. Rick's final words to Rachel. When I was discharged and brought May home a few days later, Rick finally told me what he had said to Rachel. And honestly, he did not hold back. He told her, plain and simple, I'm pressing charges. Nothing will change that. Then, he made it clear, she was never going to be a part of May's life. She was not a grandmother. Not in any capacity. She had risked my life and May's life over some imaginary slight that wasn't even her problem to begin with. And then, he hit her where it hurt. All the money I've been giving you, consider it substantially reduced. Rachel broke down. She sobbed, insisting she had slaved away her whole life for her kids and didn't deserve this. But Rick wasn't having it. I know what you've done for us, and I appreciate it. But that does not mean you get to control our lives. I've been making excuses for you for years. But not anymore. When it came to May and me, Rachel had crossed a line. She had proven that she was not safe to be around. And then, she made a huge mistake. She tried to justify herself. As a mother, I understood that Anna didn't want her wedding day overshadowed. Anna overheard, and she lost it, cutting her off for good. So, yes, we are proceeding with the case. But Rick is handling everything. I have a newborn to take care of and zero energy for this drama. And honestly, no one in the family is willing to talk to Rachel anymore. Anna has completely cut her off. Emma only speaks to her when absolutely necessary. Rick and I are no contact. I don't think Rachel ever imagined losing all of her children at once. Maybe, she genuinely thought she was protecting Anna in some twisted way. Not that it matters. I'm not defending her. Not even for a second. But I still feel bad for her. Everything she did completely backfired. And now, a small part of me wonders, should they at least talk to her? Would that be the right thing to do? Then again, I know that if I even mention this to Rick, he'll lose it. He's still furious. He can't even look at her. I never thought things would get this bad. But here we are. Update 1, the last straw. Well, any thought of reconciliation? Completely off the table. I know it's been a while since my last update, but, well, I'm a new mom. Between keeping myself alive and making sure May is okay, I've been a little busy. The good news? May is turning 8 weeks old soon. We're all super excited. Anna and Jonah have been absolute lifesavers, helping out whenever they can. Emma had to go back to work, but she calls almost every day. And May? She's the light of everyone's life. The family group chat is basically just a May fan page at this point. The final decision. There has been zero contact with Rachel. I convinced Rick not to press charges, not because she didn't deserve it, but because we simply have too much going on. It wasn't worth the stress. Rick was reluctant, but in the end, he agreed. Neither of us had the energy for anything else. When we told Rachel, she acted grateful. I say acted because that woman is completely unhinged. And last week, she finally showed her true colors. The breaking point. Last week, at around 1 a.m., Rick and I were jolted awake by loud, frantic banging on our front door. My heart stopped. I thought it was a break-in. Without hesitation, I grabbed May and hid, while Rick went to check. I could hear shouting, but I didn't dare move. I wasn't about to risk waking May or putting her in danger. It wasn't a robbery. It was Rachel. Rick later told me she was completely unhinged. She was screaming at the top of her lungs, demanding to see May, insisting that we couldn't keep her away. She tried forcing her way inside. Rick had to threaten to call the police before she finally backed off. The moment she left, we immediately alerted Anna and Emma. If something was wrong with her, everyone needed to know. But honestly, our concern was wasted. Because the next day, she sent us a message that changed everything. The text that said it all. At first, it was just more of her usual nonsense. She accused us of being cruel and nasty for keeping May from her. She claimed we were punishing her and that her only crime was being a mother. Typical melodrama. But then, as the message went on, it got worse. She admitted that when I announced my pregnancy, she expected Anna to be furious. Because, in her mind, that's what a normal woman would feel, jealousy. But when she saw that we were all happy for each other, that we were excited for both the wedding and the baby, she hated it. She wanted chaos. She wanted Anna to resent me. She wanted us to fight. And when none of that happened, when she realized that May's arrival brought us all closer together, she couldn't stand it. She even admitted that when she saw my due date was close to Anna's wedding, she hoped Anna would get angry at us. She wanted May to be seen as an inconvenience. But instead, Anna embraced it. She loved the idea of May arriving around the same time as her wedding. She had no issue with sharing the spotlight. And that's what infuriated Rachel the most. Because, for once, she wasn't the center of attention. Then came the part that really shook me to my core. Rachel outright said that she felt disrespected, that a baby who hadn't even been born yet had taken her place as the uniting factor in the family. She was jealous of her own granddaughter. She admitted she was bitter that the three siblings were coming together because of May, without her. She wanted division, competition, resentment. And when she didn't get it, she lost it. She was still typing more unhinged nonsense when I turned to Rick and said, "Block her now." Because at that moment, I realized, this woman is dangerous. And I am done. I have had a constant headache since reading those messages. I cannot believe that a woman over 50 years old is in competition with a 7-week-old baby. It's sick. It's twisted. And I refuse to make excuses for her anymore. She can go to hell for all I care. Where we stand now. We immediately forwarded the messages to Anna and Emma. They were disturbed. Anna was horrified. Emma was furious. Emma even suggested that Rachel might be having a manic episode and said she would fly down to get her checked into a facility. Honestly, that's a great idea, but I'm staying out of it. I don't care what happens to her anymore. Her behavior is insane, and I want nothing to do with her ever again. Update 2. We have a restraining order against my mother-in-law. She didn't try anything again, but we're being cautious. Emma got her test done and spoke to both a psychologist and psychiatrist. Everything is fine with my mother-in-law. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, but that was it. The doctor said there was no underlying medical reason for her behavior and suggested Emma take her to therapy. Emma has since gone no contact. She said she was willing to help if something was wrong, but hatefulness is who my mother-in-law is, and she can't tolerate her anymore. I totally get that and share the view. She might have had my sympathy and support in a few months if she had a psychiatric issue, but now that's been ruled out, we know this is who she is. There's no reconciling with that. This is why we took a restraining order for Rick and me. May's safety is of utmost importance, and my mother-in-law has proven twice she's not safe. Moreover, she has ill will towards May specifically, so we have to be even more careful they don't come into contact. I think this will be my last update, and I hope I never have anything more to share about this entire episode.